everybody, I'm back with another video. If you're new to my channel, then welcome. If you'd like to follow me on Instagram and Twitter, then please. Today's video, I will be doing a Spiderman No Way Home review. In this review, I will be talking about spoilers and non-spoilers. Kind of movie, I think it's better to go into the movie without being spoiled. But as somebody who was sadly spoiled, I still enjoyed the scenes that was spoiled. I want to apologise if I start repeating myself or anything like that during this review. When I'm talking about something that gets me very excited or that I love a lot, that does happen. If you want to skip to the part when I start talking about the spoilers, I'll put the time on the screen now. I have notes on this phone, so if you see me looking down, that's why. I apologise if my voice sounds weird because I've been very busy. I've been doing a lot recently, so soundtracks, vinyl, stuff like that, so that's why my voice might be gone. Not fully gone, but gone. Warning, do not look at the comments of this video or any video because there might be spoilers in them, and some people don't put the warning beforehand. And also try your best to stay off social media because a lot of people are filming scenes from the movie and putting it online, which is sad, which is sadly how I was spoiled a bit because I went on YouTube because I wanted to watch reviews of albums to keep my mind off No Way Home, since at this time a lot of people had seen it and videos were coming up on my recommended, and it's a video of a person filming scenes from the movie, and the channel had loads of these kind of videos on their channel. So this surprised me a lot because I've never seen people filming clips from the movie and putting it online. This happened on TikTok, and to this day I still see people doing it, and when they are called out on it, they say, well, you shouldn't be on social media, and they say they don't care because Americans spoiled Venom 2 for them. This is the part that annoys me because I understand that it was annoying that people from America was posting the end credit scene of Venom 2. They say these kind of things, they make it sound like America's the only place that hasn't seen it on the day that it came out in the UK, but that's not true. Like for example, some people had to see it on the Thursday or the Friday because of work, or because in some places it was postponed because of the pandemic. It's very childish, to be honest, because when they're confronted in the comments, they reply with spoilers, or they say I don't care. What I do love is that a lot of people who was doing the confronting was people who had already seen it. So if there's any people like that watching this video that have done that, then I want to say thank you, because people like you give me hope in humanity. So something I wanted to mention, before the movie started, a person comes in and starts talking about safety things, so saying that in case something happens, to go to the back and stuff like that. And she also started saying about how good the movie was, and she was saying please do not film because it's very illegal. And the way she kept on saying that the movie was good over and over again, it was really sweet. And I said to my friend that she gives off Andrew Garfield fan vibes, and my friend agreed with me. Now I'm going to be talking about non-spoilers. So my non-spoilers fault is go and see this movie as soon as possible, even if you haven't seen other Spider-Man movies before or watched them in a while. You still enjoy it and you still be able to follow along with the movie. This is one of the best movies that came out of the year, and it's up there with one of my favourite MCU movies. The actors in this movie were so good, and the chemistry between the characters was really good as well. I was upset when it was pushed back, but it was totally worth the wait. Now I'm going to talk about the audience and seeing it in IMAX. So when I went to see it in IMAX the first time, there wasn't that many kids, and my friend turned to me saying that she was surprised that there wasn't that many kids. So it's when it was advertisement that my friend said that to me, but at the same time I was happy about there not being that many kids, because if kids started crying during the film, then I would get upset. I understand that kids will be kids, but what annoys me is when kids is making a lot of noise in the cinema and the parent or guardian sees them doing it and they say nothing about it. That's what annoys me. So I saw the movie with my mum and my friend, and we saw it in IMAX. I chose the seats that I did because when we went to see Thor Ragnarok in my IMAX, it was a really good seat, so I chose around the same area. And plus it's easier for people to pass, so if somebody wanted to go to the toilet or something, it's easier to get up and let them pass, even though during this kind of movie, I wouldn't get up. But if people choose to get up, then that's their choice. I didn't see that many people getting up during the movie, but most of the people that did get up were in the middle row. Halfway through the movie, my legs started hurting because there wasn't that much leg room, so I had to keep on switching positions. But apart from that, I like the seats, so I was kind of doing like this and this and this because I was my legs was not comfortable. Now from this point on, there will be spoilers, so if you don't want any spoilers, then please like this video, then come back once you have seen the movie. But if you don't care about spoilers, then keep on watching. The question a lot of people want to know is Andrew and Toby in the movie? And yes, they are. And the part when they come in, I was screaming even though I knew it was coming. Something that I want to mention is that the audience reaction during the movie was one of my favourite parts about seeing the movie. It was endgame it was endgame level clapping and screaming. Even though I was spoiled at the part, I was happy at the same time because they were actually they were really in the movie. And seeing clips is nice, but actually seeing it on the big screen is a totally different experience. Something that I loved is that there are people that are Toby fans or Andrew Garfield fans or Tom Holland fans, but it felt like we were a family. So it wasn't Tom, Andrew or Toby fans. It was Spiderman fans or Peter Parker fans, especially when they were together, and the chemistry between them was really good. My head tells me that they were acting, but my heart tells me that they wasn't acting. The Andrew saving MJ part was really good, even though a lot of us knew that it was going to happen. It was really good. Andrew saving MJ was a theory a lot of us had, but seeing it actually happen was really good. The way that the audience went, oh, they were like, what? When they were like, we were all surprised when Tom was pushed to the side by Norman or by the Green Goblin. But the way that he jumped and saved MJ was really good. Andrew jumps, and even when he saves her, he's crying and the audience was still clapping. So the way Andrew asks if she was okay and she's like, yeah, then she asks him if he was okay, and then he nodded. Like, it was really beautifully done. Like, you could see that this was his redemption from Gwen. I want them in more movies together, so I want Andrew, Toby and Tom in more movies together. And I heard rumours that Sony wants that too, so all I have to say is make it happen. The way Andrew was like the fanboy of the group was really sweet, and he made me laugh a lot. And the fact that he's on a lot of my timeline is not surprising at all, because I think he deserves all the hype that he's getting. Tom Holland was good, and his emotions was really good, and it shows how much he's proved since the last movies. So this one is a big spoiler, so if you don't want to be spoiled, then please skip ahead a bit. Aunt May is killed by the Green Goblin, and yes, it was sad when she died, but the part when he's like on the bridge crying and MJ and Ned come and hug him, I was gone. Like, I was gone. I was speechless. I didn't cry at this movie, but I got really emotional many times. Toby was kind of like the humble person in the back, and do I wish he had more lines? Yes, but I was happy with the scenes that he got. And the part when he's like, Avengers, what's that? And when he's like, the Avengers? And he's like, yes. And he's like, what's that? And then Andrew's like, is that a band? Are you in a band? That's one of my favourite parts. And it still makes me laugh. It still makes me laugh. Okay. My favourite part with them together is when they're in the lab and Toby and Andrew are talking, and Toby's like, oh, do you have someone? And Andrew's like, and they're just having this nice romance. Like, that's one of my favourite scenes. And I also like the part when Toby shows his web shooters, and Ned comes out. Ned's like, that just came out of you, and he's like, yeah, you can't do that, can you? And Tom's like, no. And then Andrew says like, wow, like that scene is priceless. Also, Ned saying to Tom that he promises that he won't turn evil and try and kill him was one of my favourite parts in the movie. And the way that Andrew just touched his shoulder, and he's like that. A part of me was just like, take me now, I'm at peace, just take me now. We all thought that Toby was going to die, but he didn't. It was one of the most relieved moments in my life. Do I believe that his story is done? No, but even if it is, killing Toby off after Aunt May would have been too much for me, and I knew it would have been too much for a lot of people, because imagine if they did kill Toby or Andrew off, the movie wouldn't be getting as much love as it is now. Something that I was worried about is that people wouldn't scream that much for Toby, since I had seen a lot of audience reactions to Andrew and Toby coming into the movie, and people would scream for Andrew, but it wouldn't be that loud for Toby, or people would scream for Toby and it would have been that loud for Andrew. And sometimes the audience would be very quiet for both. People did scream for Toby, so then I was okay. Something that I heard is that Toby was hesitant about being in the movie before. Someone, maybe the director, I'm not sure who, but they convinced him to, and I understand why he would be hesitant, because people need to remember that it's been way longer for him than Andrew's has. So the last time that's why he might have had doubts. So even though I would have been happy if it was just Andrew and Tom in the movie, it wouldn't have felt right. It wouldn't feel right if it was just them two. In my opinion, it wouldn't feel right. Even if it was just Toby and Tom, it still wouldn't feel right. Now I'm going to talk about Aunt May's death, and that part was really sad. And when it happened, I said to myself, maybe people were lying, because this was one of the things I was spoiled about. But then after Green Goblin throws the bomb, she seems fine, because she was talking. They were having this nice conversation, and Peter was all like, "Oh, it's my fault," and she's like, "No, it's not. You did the right thing." But then she also says, "With great power comes great responsibility." And then she collapsed, and then we see blood coming out, and then that's when it hit me that, yeah, she has actually died. It was really sad when she died, especially seeing Peter's reaction, and I didn't cry at that part. And the reason for that is because I didn't feel that attached to the character. I did like her character, so if we got more development of her, I would have cried. But going into the movie, a lot of people thought it was going to be Happy that dies. So if it was Happy, I would have probably more likely cried. But since it was Aunt May, I didn't cry that much. I didn't cry, but I still found it really sad though. Not that long after, we get Toby and Andrew, and I was not fully together at that point, because I was emotional about Aunt May's death. So I went through being, during this movie, I went through different emotions. So at one point I was together, like I was fine, I was happy, I was smiling, I was laughing, and then the next minute I was sad. So I also like the part with Ned's grandma, when Ned has to translate what she's saying to Toby or Andrew, but the grandma made me laugh, and I really like Ned in this movie. Next I'm going to talk about the villains. The villains all did very well, and the amount of times I jumped in this movie, I wasn't expecting to jump that much, or at all, to be honest, but I feel like the Green Goblin and Electro was the main villains in this movie. Sandman and Lizard kind of had the back seat, and Doc Ock was kind of in the middle, because especially after he realised that Tom wasn't his Peter, I think the movie did a good job giving them all their time to shine. Now I'm going to talk about fan service. So this movie is very fan service, so they have a lot of references from other movies, and even if you haven't seen them other movies or seen them in a while, you still get the references. My heart, when the line of "with great power and great responsibility" was said for the first time, I was really happy. Now I'm going to talk about something that I wasn't that excited about, but people were excited about, so it made me happy for them. And that's Charlie Cox, who plays Matt Murdock, I think that's how you pronounce his name, who's in Daredevil, is in this movie. And when he comes on, I was excited, because he did good, and even though his scene was very short, I'm excited to see more of him. And I've seen people say that it was enough for them. So even though the scene was very short, it was enough of them. So that makes me happy. So back to Andrew and Toby. Again, I'm glad that they were in the movie, not just in the battle scene, because that's what I thought would happen. Yes, I would have still been happy regardless the amount they were in, but it would have been loads of missed opportunities if they were just in it for the battle scene. But I'm glad that didn't happen. I've heard that there's a longer version of the movie, but because people were overworked, sadly scenes had to be cut out, which is understandable. So I hope we do get an extra version of the movie, either on Blu-ray or on Disney Plus. Now I'm going to talk about Doctor Strange. So we don't get that much of Doctor Strange in the movie, because in the middle of the movie he gets trapped by Peter, and he's there for hours, so he doesn't come back until near the end. But the part we do get was really good. The parts we do get is really good, and most of the scenes we get from him is in the trailer. However, there's longer parts of the parts that we saw in the trailer, and they were really funny as well. So the part when he says "Scooby-Doo the scrap" is one of my favourite lines in the whole movie. The part when he says about, "So you came to me without begging them to reconsider." That's one of my favourite lines from him as well. This is the same with Happy as well. He's not in it that much, but when he's in it, I do love him a lot. And my favourite scenes of him is when me and Peter are FaceTiming, and Happy's in the background like, "Okay, you like each other, we get it." The part when him and Spiderman go back and forth about the villains and Doctor Strange The part when him and Spider-Man go back and forth about the villains and Doctor Strange is trying to get the box, and one of the best scenes, this is one of the best scenes in the movie because Spider-Man traps him, but he traps him with being really smart, no pun intended. The way he comes back later on and it's like, I've been trapped for 14 hours or whatever amount he says, reminds me of Loki and Thor Ragnarok, because he says, I've been falling for 30 minutes. And his reaction to Ned doing magic was really funny. Now I'm going to talk about Ned and MJ. So MJ gets a bigger role in this movie. And that did make me happy, but the scenes with MJ and Ned together were some of my favourites, especially when they had to look after the box that had the spell that brings the villains back. A lot of people are talking about MJ, and it's rightfully deserved, but Ned needs way more love, but because he has a lot of funny scenes, like that part when he's like, especially that part when he was like, he won't kill Peter Parker. That scene makes me laugh a lot. So the next thing we're going to talk about is the future of the MCU. So we see Doctor Strange trying to stop more people from coming in, and we see outlines of shadows, and one of them looks like Rhino, and one of them might be Scorpion, and Peter tells Strange to do the spell that everybody forgets who Peter Parker is, and that part was really sad. And when we see Peter and Ned doing their handshake, and MJ is crying, saying how there has to be another way, and Peter's like, oh, don't worry, I'll come and find you. He does go to the shop that MJ works at, and he has everything that he wants to say written down, but decides not to. I think it's because he realizes that they'll probably be better or safer without him. So that is really sad, but I'm hoping that in the future movies everything's get fixed, because right now the multiverse is very broken. Now I'm going to talk about the end credit scene. So in the first end credit scene, we get a scene of Venom, and a lot of people was hoping that he will be one of the villains in the movie, but this was good as well. I think this was just as good. So Eddie's at the bar, and this guy's telling him everything about Thanos and all that stuff, and then he gets brought back to his universe, but we see a bit of Venom that's left behind, so I'm excited to see how the story goes for the next Venom. Some people are saying that it might not be the same actor who plays Venom in the MCU, but I hope it is, because I really like him. I think his name's Tom Hardy. I really like him, so I hope it is him. The next post-credit scene is a trailer to the next Doctor Strange movie, and it did look really good, and I'm very excited to see it. I thought that it was really cool how we got to see the trailer before it was released to the public. Now I'm going to say my final thoughts. So my final thoughts of the movie is that it's really good. If you're able to see it, please do bring your mom, your sister, whoever you want. You'll have a fun time, even if you aren't an MCU fan or Spider-Man fan. Then even if they aren't an MCU fan or Spider-Man fan, they will still enjoy it. Because yes, it's fan service, but it's not just fan service. A lot of the parts at the beginning is funny, and that's not fan service. To me, I think the fan service is more near the middle to the end. Like the beginning, it's not fan service in my opinion. I know that they will hopefully put it on Disney Plus, and by the time I post this video, I should be seeing it again by the time I post this video. Then I put update. I have now seen it again. I saw it with my sisters, one who's seen it and one who hasn't. The audience mostly claps and laughs, so it made me miss seeing it in IMAX. But I did enjoy watching it again. My sister, who hadn't seen it, said to me that the audience was very boring, but she thinks that the movie was good. I also got the Spider-Man cup that I've been using a lot since we went. I went to get a No Way Home popcorn bucket, because when we went to IMAX, I saw a lot of people holding them, but sadly they didn't have it at the cinema that we went to, so this is the second time I went to see it. The reason I didn't get food the first time is because it took a while to remember how to get into the IMAX. So we just went straight inside, and I didn't want to miss anything. It's not until after I told my mum I'm not that hungry that I saw people with the buckets. So this is just before the person who did the safety announcements came in. So I'm going to show you the cup now. This is the cup that I got. And my sister also got one. So I think you could get it with a meal, or you can get it by yourself. So I ordered it by itself because I wanted to get my normal food. So this is the one I got, and I do use it a lot. It's also really funny watching interviews back of Tom saying that they aren't in the movie, or Andrew saying that he wasn't in the movie. I did feel bad for him, since he had another movie that he wanted people to focus on, and they kept on asking about Spider-Man. but they did well, especially Tom, because that's why I was 99% or 98% sure that they was in the movie. So my favorite interview is I think it's Jimmy Fallon. So he's like to them, oh, Toby Maguire, Andrew Garfield, go on, and then they just start laughing because the way he says their names, it makes me laugh because he's like, Tom's like, who are they? And then he's like, oh, I keep on bumping into them, and Jim's like on set, so he's trying to see if they're in the movie. So something I just remembered is that we see how Flash reacts to knowing that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. So he tells everybody that he's Peter Parker's best friend, and I was surprised to see how he would be, but at the same time I'm not that surprised that that's how he reacts. So now I'm going to do the outro. With all that said, I hope you like this video. I did really like Spider-Man. I would say it's probably my second favourite Spider-Man movie. My favourite one is Spider-Man 3. I know a lot of people don't like that movie, but I like it, especially when Toby's wearing the black suit. That's my favourite part of the movie. So yeah, I would put it as either number 2 or number 3 in my Spider-Man ranking. And as an MCU movie, I'd probably put it as number as an MCU movie. I don't know where I would rank it, but it would definitely be top tier. Because my favourite movie is Infinity War, so it would probably be maybe 3 or 4. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. Also, don't forget to hit subscribe so you don't miss out when I post. I love you guys, and I'll see you next time. Bye.